So on a recent trip to France with a buddy, I ended up with a light wind day and we were out looking for an activity. We ended up stumbling across an eFoil rental location. We gave it a shot, and after about 30 minutes of watching my buddy, his wife, my wife, who had never foiled before, figure it out, it really clicked that eFoiling is the easiest way to learn how to foil. In today's video, I'm going to talk about why that is. I'm also going to talk about the foil fundamentals and each of the skills that you can pick up eFoiling and how they'll translate later to kite foiling, wing foiling, kind of any other foil specialty that you want to be trying out in the future. Cool, let's get into it. Why is eFoiling so much better? First and foremost, it allows you to focus on just one thing. And so it separates the kite from the foil and lets you just work on the foil. A lot of people don't know this, but if you're learning to kite foil, you have to relearn a lot of your kiting skills. You pick up a lot of bad habits while twin tipping and you can kind of get away with it. But on a foil, it amplifies all of your mistakes. If you put too much power in your turn or you're just too aggressive in your kite maneuvering, you're gonna get punished when you're foiling. Same thing goes for winging. You've got that wing in your hands. It's going to be easier to isolate it and just get to focus on the foil. Number two, you get control over your power while learning. So if you're learning to foil behind a boat or if you're learning to foil behind a jet ski, the pilot has control of the power. This is important because your foil will lift depending on the speed that you're giving it. And so you want to have control over the power. You want to feel the relationship between that power and speed increasing and your foil gaining lift and coming out of the water. Number three, the percentage of time while eFoiling that you're actually on the foil is much, much higher than these alternatives. That means you're going to learn a lot faster. You're going to develop the muscle memory. Your body's going to get comfortable with all of these unfamiliar kind of foil sensations. And ultimately your time to learn is going to drop through the floor. Cool, so there you have it. That's the thinking behind why eFoiling is going to make learning to foil so much easier. We're going to get into the basic fundamentals that you can learn on eFoiling that'll translate. I did want to cover one thing that you won't be able to work on while eFoiling, and that's the water start. Check out my learning to kite foil video here. I'll talk a little bit about the water start, but you don't have that in eFoiling, so it is the one thing you won't get to practice. Everything else will be covered here. All right, let's get into the 9 fundamental skills that you're gonna get to practice while eFoiling that will translate later to any of the other different foiling practices that you might wanna do in the future. First and foremost, taxiing. This is riding with your board on the water and getting a feel for what it's like to ride on a board when there's a mast underneath that board. It's gonna throw off the balance. You're gonna feel that foil start to engage. And so practicing taxiing and building that comfort level up will be the first skill. Next skill after taxiing is learning to get your first flights. So you'll dial up your power on the eFoil and you'll start to feel that foil engage. You'll get a feeling for that foil in your board lifting up out of the water. You're also gonna start to learn how to put your weight forward to kind of control that upward lift. And that will be your first flights. Obviously with your first flights are gonna come your first falls. Falling on a foil can be super sketchy. I have a buddy that split open his face from a kind of freak foil accident. When you fall, that foil can shoot in a bunch of different directions. And so it'll be really important to learn to fall away from the foil. Or once you're up real high and you've got that mast distance down to the water, learning to fall and take an impact from a greater height. That's gonna be an important skill to kind of learn to fall away from the foil, take the impact, maybe protect your face from the foil. Skill number 4, maintaining altitude on the foil. Once you've got those first flights and you're getting up out of the water, you wanna learn to stay there. You don't wanna go down and touch down and hit the water. You don't wanna come up too high and cavitate where your foil leaves the water and then you crash and burn. And so it's all about maintaining that kind of middle altitude and making those small adjustments as you ride. So the next skill is actually part of this, and it's learning to maintain that altitude and stay with your foil out of the water through different water conditions. And so this could be chop, this could be swell, this could be wake from a boat, this could be churned up water. Each of these things will affect the foil a little bit differently. You're gonna feel it, it's gonna throw you off your balance. And being able to isolate that and get comfortable in those different conditions is really gonna help you build that confidence. Next skill, picking up speed. Going fast on a foil is scary. Dialing up the power on the eFoil, feeling the upward pressure and lift build, seeing how you need to shift your weight forward to keep that foil altitude the same, really, really critical skill. And then the next one is, if you're gonna learn how to accelerate, you need to learn how to decelerate. And it's counterintuitive because picking up speed on a foil is way easier than losing it. Slowing down on the eFoil, you're gonna kind of dial back the power. It's gonna be lurchy, it's gonna shift the weight, and you're gonna have to learn to compensate to slow all the way back down, maybe even bring your board down to the water. That's gonna be a really useful exercise. Cool, so we're getting into the last two skills here. Next one is critical, and that is turning or carving from heel side to toe side back. Learning this on a kite was a pain. And so what happens is you're shifting your kite from the left side to the right side. It ends up generating a ton of power as you do that. And for me, it was just ripping me off my board. And so eFoiling is going to be a much easier way to learn this skill. The perfect constant power coming from the motor is going to stay stable, and you're going to get to focus on making sure your edge of your foil wing doesn't come out. You're going to get to focus on making sure you maintain a perfect altitude as you go through the turn, and master ultimately toe side to heel side and heel side back. And then the last skill is going to be foot switches, right? And so shifting from your left foot forward to your right foot forward and back. Here you're going to pop a little bit of, get that foil to come up out of the water, and in that moment of extra lift, you're gonna figure out that's the time to do the foot switch. You can just practice over and over again and get back on the foil when you fall. eFoiling is gonna be a much more efficient way to pick up on that particular skill. So there you have it. Those are the reasons I think eFoiling is the best way to learn how to foil. One, it lets you focus on just one thing. It isolates the foil. Two, it gives you power control, whereas if you're being pulled behind a boat or a jet ski, you don't have control over your power and speed. Three, it puts you on the foil for a much higher percentage of the time, which means you're going to be developing muscle memory. You're going to be learning much, much faster than any other discipline. So for those of you learning to kite foil, make sure to watch my kite foiling video. For the rest of you, if you liked it, give me a thumbs up. And if I said anything stupid or if I missed anything important, call me out in the comments down below. And thanks for watching.